This video is a film study look at Jared Goff's performance in the Lions' 38-30 win over the Baltimore Ravens Monday night. I think I'm going to have to push most of my quarterback film study videos to Thursday. My Wednesday is overcommitted, perhaps. There's just so many things I want to get done, and it felt like it was a 4-hour day. It was a complete blur, so I recognized that I'm probably a day late getting this video out. As an aside, I will have my Lamar Jackson film study out probably after the Thursday night football game. I thought both of those guys played well. Most people would illustrate or talk about the differences between them. I tend to focus more on the similarities or the things that people have in common. And at the end of this video, I'll talk about some that I think makes it more enjoyable for me to watch two quarterbacks with a, quote, totally different play style. Nonetheless, both of them extremely effective. Statistically, they both obviously had a great night on Monday night. Lamar in a loss, Jared Goff in a win. And Goff does so many things pre-snap that I think deserve discussion and recognition. I'm not actually going to do that here. I have some thoughts on the matter. I think he's one of the best 2 or 3 guys in the NFL at making decisions pre-snap based on run or pass play, checking in and out of different formations to see with how the defense responds, and then making a decision according to game plan and according to what he sees. This is the first possession. It's a 2nd and 10. Get a little high-low concept. This is Laporta out into the flats, and then Jamison Williams, little sail concept, if you will. And what I love about this is it's a corner blitz, all right? So the Ravens don't get there with Wiggins. Like so many other attempts to blitz or different stunts that the Ravens ran, the Lions picked them up. Do I think that Goff knew this was coming? No. It's so early in the game. I think it's the second play of the game. But Goff is definitely looking down here. And there's a little bit of a slight pump fake because he's thinking about throwing it to Laporta, but Hamilton jumps it. And I just don't really think this is sound by the Ravens for the way that they're playing this overall. Maybe Hamilton's not supposed to be there. Maybe Hamilton's feet should be back here, and he should really take this route by Williams, which would, of course, leave Laporta open in the flats. I'm not exactly sure on that. I just know that there's definitely some conflict created by the two routes, Laporta and Williams over the top. Now, Goff does take a hit there. It's Wiggins with the running back, and then I think Owe is stunting through. Here's Laporta. You don't obviously get a view of Williams, who only had 2 catches, but they came early in the game. So the stunt is corner blitz off the edge, and then Owe going inside, and he's the guy I think who actually gets the quarterback hit. Goff is looking there extremely quickly, but he's very cool and just calm. Even though things happen fast from a read standpoint and him moving from one player to the next in terms of the options, he's just very calm about it. Everything seems under control. It seems like he's at like 88% effort, but gets 100% efficiency. Hamilton here is the guy that I think caused the hesitation because he, of course, jumped that shorter route by Laporta, and that's where Goff pump faked. Instead, really quick reset, able to get the ball out to Williams. And it was kind of, for me, it was kind of like, okay, check. He handled that. You brought a corner blitz on the first play, and Hamilton kind of maybe jumped or came forward on the out route from Laporta, and Goff immediately processed through it, like a computer. So many examples of high-level play by the Lions, Goff, Laporta, St. Brown, others on 3rd down. And the Ravens, I think, tried to throw a lot at him, especially early. I think they're morphing into a Tampa 2 here, and I think it occurs on the motion. So as St. Brown comes down in this kind of short motion, Wiggins makes some kind of check, and I believe the Ravens, have checked out of man into a zone concept. They're making it look like, man here with the linebacker, man with the Wouzier. He's a dime linebacker set to the field in this case. And instead, post-snap, it ends up being a Tampa 2. So here's the 2 safeties, Starks and Hamilton high. Humphrey, who's obviously got experience as an outside corner and a nickel DB, is sitting in the flats. And then up to the top side, you have the other corner, which I think is TJ Tampa, in the flats as well. So showing man out of a dime look pre-snap and then giving Goff a Tampa 2 read post-snap. Well, there's no pressure on Goff, don't get me wrong. So that's a part of this, right? But he just delivers a strike between 4 defenders. I get it that some Ravens fans may not enjoy the appreciation that you can clearly hear in my voice. I just think that we should appreciate, or at least I try to, high-level play no matter who the team is, right? Unless it's the Kansas City Chiefs, to be honest with you. But I love how he's getting through the read quickly. I credit the Ravens for Awuzie is becoming the Mike linebacker, basically, who's running the pipe between the hashes in a Tampa 2. And then he turns out, as soon as he sees Laporta go in the other direction, it's actually Awuzie who I think makes first contact. I feel like Awuzie is playing pretty well for the Ravens lately. Goff is, already getting rid of the football. I've already mentioned a couple of times how quickly he gets through his reads. He's just got a great handle or a great idea on what things look like pre-snap and what it could mean post-snap. Now, the reality is it's certainly supported by the offensive line. A quality offensive line is a big part of it. I'm not into the whole Jared Goff has to have an elite offensive line to win. Just seen too many games of him playing well in the last 2 or 3 years. He wasn't touched, of course, Monday night. No sacks on the night for the Ravens. Like I said, I believe that the Ravens switched to a Tampa 2 from man based on the motion. So it's just a man to zone check. Probably a number used at the end. But in any case, Goff goes through one read, and then here's the second one. We know that it's Jameson Williams over the top on that dig, later developing in cut. 2 catches on the first drive. I just think his recognition is something that is worthy of mention, and hopefully you guys watch other more experienced quarterback analysts than myself who can maybe talk about the reads. But the end zone angle makes it kind of easy to be able to tell, okay, he's looking over there to our left. Initially comes back to Williams on the other side. Yes, you absolutely have to have great pass pro or a very good pass pro in most cases to get that done. Still in the first possession for Detroit, this is, of course, they go down and they take a 7-0 lead. And the Ravens are throwing another look at Goff. And Goff and the offensive line are definitely on the same page. You can see Laporta moves to the other side. He moves to the other side of the line. And then at some point, Sewell kind of waves over to him. But Goff hasn't said anything to Sewell. He said something to the center, who relayed the call to the guard, who relayed it to Sewell. And so my point is, Goff is not the guy who's manually telling Laporta where to go. He's told the center something, relayed the call from the guards out to the tackles, and then Sewell waves Laporta over. It's like the third time in the game, to be honest with you, that Laporta kind of maybe is in the wrong spot pre-snap, and someone has to move him around. That's just what I saw. The route concept is a little disappointing from a Ravens perspective. How many wins does St. Brown have in the red zone on out-breaking routes? Really nice pass pro again. They've picked up the stunt from the nickel DB, and Goff is going here, to the out, to St. Brown against a 4th and 2, maybe a long 2, maybe it's actually 4th and 3. I just really don't like. This is something that Edgar Allen and myself talked about on the show we do called Inside the Coverage on Wednesday. The Ravens are dropping out a defensive end away from the trips, and he's just not in a position to help anything, meaning the most dangerous guy here, certainly Jameson Williams, is worthy of respect, and he's dangerous. I've already shown you 2 catches in this video. 3rd down, 4th down, high leverage or high pressure situations, that's the guy you got to stop first. Make Goff go to the other read. For me, and what EA and I talked about was, rather than a Brent Urban, who's an underrated defensive lineman, rather than him dropping out to the single receiver side, I'd like for him to drop out to the side where St. Brown is, so that Hamilton has a little bit of help, meaning Hamilton doesn't have to be so slow in reacting here to the outcut from St. Brown, excuse me. Basically, St. Brown had a 2-way go, or maybe even a 3-way go, in another way to think about it, and Hamilton really has no chance there, if you ask me. It's amazing with St. Brown, right? In the big moments, there's no loss in efficiency at all, or execution. He is the guy that they look to make plays in 4th down situations. Selfishly, from a Lions perspective, you guys may misinterpret this. Please don't. I'm being 100% direct with you. I kind of wish that St. Brown didn't make or wasn't involved in so many 3rd and 4th down plays in this game against the Ravens, because it was a high-profile game, and I wonder if it's going to make other teams compensate, perhaps overcompensate towards St. Brown in the future, in those moments, I should say. Same play from the end zone angle, and so the call has already been relayed to Sewell. He's just now getting it, so he starts to wave Laporta over. So there's just this integration of everything that the Lions are doing, getting them on the right side. The pass pro, I think the way that this is working out, the offensive line is all sliding to their left, our right on the screen. Laporta is dealing with this edge defender. And, the only way that I can interpret this is consistently Goff and the offensive line have gotten the right pass pro for the blitz that's coming. It just seems like they were able to sift out pre-snap exactly what the Ravens were doing. I don't know what we have no idea absent watching every single pass play and every single pass pro call versus the stunt, my estimation would be that Goff and the O-line was correct. They were correct, excuse me, 85 to 88 to 90% of the time in this game. It seemed like they picked up everything that the Ravens had to throw at them. You're more than welcome to let me know what you think of that idea in the comment section, meaning that Goff had a great week of study and then preparation for what the Ravens do. He finished 20 of 28, only 202 yards, I think, or maybe 212. I thought great pre-snap work along with the 2 touchdowns. Increasingly, like I said, I think he's on a different level than so many other quarterbacks in terms of what he can get done pre-snap and then how that can manifest itself or produce positive results and plays for the Lions after the ball is snapped. We're going to get to the third possession, of course, the 18-play drive. And man, there's just some critical plays here that, Goff makes and that he's a part of, 2 with Laporta, and some questionable, interesting strategies by the Ravens on defense. I feel like the Lions had a great plan for the Ravens offense in many ways, and the Ravens were just out there calling plays on defense and just playing football absent the personnel matchups. So the way this is working out, the Ravens are playing man with everybody who's got a purple line attached to them. And then Starks, the rookie safety, is playing man on Laporta. And, Laporta really just kind of bullies him a little bit and basically gets into him here with some physicality, knocks Starks off the ball, and then turns and makes the catch. It's really, I would say, somewhat similar to the route with St. Brown, except that, Laporta and St. Brown are running the routes separately, obviously. And then Laporta's bullying into Starks. But my point is, Laporta has a two-way go. There's no help or support on either side for Starks. From a Ravens perspective, I'm comfortable with that matchup. Nate Wiggins. This is the one that, to me, looks like, as the play develops, it looks like, okay, if Goff had went there, we've got problems. And that's St. Brown against Humphrey. It really seemed like St. Brown got the better of those matchups repeatedly in the game. For me, Starks would be the guy that I'd want to help out and probably push Hamilton to the side of the trips to help out. Let's talk about the offensive line a moment. Again, this is a 3rd and 7. It's the same play from the end zone angle. So you've got a little bit of a stunt here. Roquan Smith is going to pick the center. So he's going to try to get the center moving in that direction. He's going to pick him, right? Not as far as those lines are drawn, but that was drawn for effect. And then the nose tackle is going to loop all the way around that pick. Meanwhile, there's a hard-coded rush for this D tackle. So basically, they're trying to clear this A gap and let the defensive tackle get through there. The nose tackle, I should say, that guy right there. In addition, the Ravens have Buchanan, their rookie inside linebacker, on Gibbs. Again, I mean, it seemed too easy when the Lions wanted to throw the ball to Gibbs. It's Montgomery in the game. Forgive me for that. But there's so many times where I felt like plays are there to be made against our rookie inside linebacker by the Lions running backs. Laporta is open after kind of bashing into Starks. Initially, I saw this. I was like, Starks is holding. But then I realized, well, Laporta's running right into him. So just one of those things. I think Laporta understands what he can get away with, what he's able to do from a physicality standpoint. And it's not basketball where there's, a charge. It's a great play by Goff to get the ball to the leverage side. Laporta, huge impact, only on 4 catches, right? But I believe they were all on 3rd downs. Still on that 3rd possession, we know it was a long one. I'm not going to go through, more than 7 or 8 plays here, to be honest with you. I think you guys get the idea already. I'm sure there's been a ton of content put out about Goff at this point. I'm a little surprised at this one from a Ravens standpoint. Well, I say I'm surprised. In actuality, after looking at the defensive film, I shouldn't be. So Laporta is basically running a sit-down route past the line to gain, which is the -38. Okay, it's a 3rd and 7, like I said. And the Ravens are dropping out 2 guys that are lined up on the line of scrimmage. So Tavius Robinson's kind of dropping to the hook area, but it's low. And then Mike Green, the rookie outside linebacker, very talented guy. He actually takes pretty good pass drops normally. He's just on the wrong side, or he's got his eyes to the wrong side. So he's opening and looking, down here to the bottom side of our screen. There's a solo receiver down there. So I think he's opening to the wrong side. I think he should be opening to the inside of Laporta, basically to the inside hip of Laporta, and not making this lane for Goff so wide open. In addition, you've got 2 DBs, the corner and the safety for the Ravens to the right. I think it's Awuzie and Starks. They're both stacked on top of each other. They're basically in the same lane. And this is too easy for Goff and Laporta. This is way too easy. You have to play a better brand of defense. You have to play a better brand of coverage. I think you've got one, these two players, one, and then two mistakes, technical mistakes on this play from a Ravens standpoint. And you have to be better than that if you're going to slow down Goff, St. Brown, Laporta, Jamison Williams. I feel like the way the Ravens defense played in this game, if they lined up and played again this weekend coming up, that Detroit puts another 35, 38 points on them. If they played to the same quality and the same standard that they did, it just, to me, looked like the Ravens defense wasn't sharp at all, and that's not taking any credit away from Goff. I think if Goff had to go to the second read to make a throw here, he probably would. Same play from the end zone angle. I think the Lions are playing the game at a higher level, but I think they're also playing it at like a higher frequency. They're attacking certain locations on the field, and the Ravens are just calling plays. So here's Green. And again, he's looking over. There's only one receiver over there, Tavis Robinson. Okay, fine. He's got to get to the low hole on that side. But I don't understand why Green is looking in the wrong direction. Again, this is just way too easy for Goff and Laporta. Wide open conversion on third down. From a Ravens perspective as a fan, really, really disappointing. But, man, from a Lions standpoint, you're getting a clean pocket. The quarterback is getting rid of the ball super quick, and he's finding guys that are wide open with a tremendous amount of separation and very little effort, on their part to do so. Focus a little bit on the second half plays. I think I've got two here loaded up for you. 1st and 10 on the 6th possession. This is after Baltimore went down and took a 7-point lead, and Detroit, of course, is going to match it. So it's 12 personnel. And I love this play because the motion from right is elongated. So it's almost, to me, seems a little bit like bait to get your visual attention in that regard. This, of course, is the toss or double pass, whatever you want to call it, toss pass to Montgomery, back to Goff. And then they really manipulated our eyes. And so what I mean by that is, you see the ball tossed out in the air and Montgomery kind of setting up to come back here, maybe to the side. There's a lot going on. At the same time that Montgomery catches the ball, Laporta's like slow stepping this, and I think it's intentional. He's just kind of gearing down, second gear almost, and then he actually runs a route, and that pulls Marlon Humphrey in this direction once Goff gets the ball back. So watch Humphrey at the bottom side of the screen, who's spot shadowed now. Once Goff gets the ball, he puts his foot in the ground. He's out of control anyway. Puts his foot in the ground and turns to get back deep because he's dealing with that route by Laporta. When you get the end zone angle, man, from Goff, the window is large, don't get me wrong, but for regular people like us, it should give you an appreciation of the fact that in the NFL, those windows close quickly, even when they are, initially wide open. The Ravens are actually in their base 3-4 here against 12 personnel, like finally in the third quarter. That whole second quarter drive, Detroit's going 12 personnel on 2nd and 10 and just running the ball right down the Ravens' defense throats against their nickel 4-2-5, and it just wasn't enough. It was an easy blocking scheme for the Lions. So really cool the way they're getting this done. Tesla is stepping down on the edge defender, Tavis Robinson, and Sewell is looping to the outside. So he's the initial or front side pass protector for Montgomery, just to make sure that Montgomery has time to get this ball back to Goff. Here's Laporta gearing down a little bit. Hopefully it's not too choppy when I go through like that. I'm actually doing that on a timeline with my mouse, so it probably is choppy on your end a little bit. And there's St. Brown, and when the window opens up here, you'll see, it's a wide open lane, right? But Goff does have to throw it with this defender in his mind, but it closes quickly. This is just how quickly windows close in the NFL. St. Brown, clearly was wide open as Goff releases the ball, but even in that way, Humphrey is able to respond and hit him after the play. There was definitely some friction between those two, St. Brown and Humphrey. Physical with each other. I thought St. Brown obviously got the better of it in pass protection or in running his routes and getting open, I should say. That design, that play, okay, flea flicker or whatever you want to call it, that took the initiative back. The Ravens had just scored to go up 21-14, and Detroit took the initiative back in going down and tying it at 21 the way that they did it. Marlon had an all-pro season, and Detroit went right after him. I did a preview video talking about how difficult it was going to be to stop St. Brown in the red zone. This isn't really the red zone. It's just outside the red zone. I would still say it, kind of qualifies. I love this route scheme from Detroit. They've used it for years. The X receiver is kind of going, and sometimes he'll sit, over here on the other hash. And then from the opposite side, Jameson Williams is running vertical. He's wide open because Roquan Smith and Nate Wiggins kind of run into each other. People call this a double move, fine. I mean, it's just a stutter to me, stutter go, stutter fade, whatever. And Goff puts it in the right place. They've sussed out the coverage, meaning they knew that it was man. And you've got running back wide open because Roquan and Nate Wiggins run into each other. In addition to that, you've got Jameson Williams wide open. So when I say this is easy, and I would, if these teams lined up and played again this weekend coming up, I would expect Detroit to score a lot of points again. This is what I'm talking about. There's guys wide open that aren't targeted because, Goff here recognized that he's got a matchup he thinks he can win, and sure enough, he did. I mean, I don't know what there is to say about St. Brown at this point. The guy is, I think he's a Hall of Famer if he stays on this track for another, 3, 4, 5 years at his current rate. Michael Thomas is the only guy after 4 years to have more catches, 470, and St. Brown had 430 coming into this year. I was telling a Ravens group a couple of days ago. There's Williams, by the way, down the bottom. He's, absolutely wide open because of the pick that you'll see. Or excuse me, because two defenders run into each other. I was telling a Ravens group Tuesday in like a Zoom style thing that I was just talking with them about St. Brown and Goff. I think they go 29 for 29 last year at one point in terms of catches to targets, which is just ridiculous. Anyway, there's Roquan running into Wiggins, which allows Williams to be wide open on the other end. I'm not saying that Williams wouldn't have won the route anyway, just indicating how it happened. Look at the pass pro for Goff as he's releasing this football. It seemed like Detroit knew what they were going to get and consistently was able to give Goff, an easy platform to throw from, get his feet into. My Lamar Jackson film study that'll come out tonight or, perhaps later this afternoon has two throws in it where Lamar's kind of like off his hip throwing the ball. And, maybe that happens because of the pass rush in front of him, the pocket being moved around fine. But either way, that didn't happen to Goff. Goff had a clean platform to throw from. That was a huge moment, man, for Detroit to go down and tie it at 21-21. Even though the game is even at that point, it almost feels like the Lions are ahead. They certainly are here, and this is a brilliant play where Detroit once again has conditioned the Ravens to expect run out of this formation. It's a 4th and 2. I didn't think this was a run play. You're welcome to let me know in the comment section what you thought. It is a setup play. The play has been set up by all the runs from the same formation in a short yardage moments. They had a goal line touchdown from this earlier. They had basically trained the Ravens' eyes, and in fact, I think 2 or 3 plays earlier had ran the ball from the same setup with motion. I think a couple of obviously more well-known analysts than myself have pointed that out. Here's Humphrey dealing with St. Brown, 4th and 2. Yeah, theoretically it could be a run. Just knowing Detroit the way that I think I do, I didn't see a run play being called at all in this situation. I saw a pass, and I saw St. Brown or Laporta, and in this case it's St. Brown. I mean, he's absolutely won because Marlon, I think demonstrated poor eye discipline on this particular play. All set up for Goff to throw it. Beautiful play, man. Great separation. Marlon trying to give effort there, but he knows he's already been beat. And St. Brown and him, like I said, they went at each other, and they were certainly talking to each other during and even after some plays. And St. Brown could say what he wants because he got most of the wins, including this one that was critical. Jameson Williams, another part of that play, another choice, I should say, option for Goff to throw to. It is interesting to me that the Ravens so sparingly moved Hamilton up into the box. It's been a discussion point for Ravens fans for all year, for the 3 games. Is there a way for us to get Kyle Hamilton up closer to the box? Because he's, great playmaker. He's got great range, coverage ability against tight ends, and he makes tackles. Here they are moving him into the box because, they need to stop, right? But why didn't you do that a little more early on in the game if that's your man or your toolbox to try to stop the run? But in any case, here is St. Brown. Let's rewind it back a little bit. As an aside, the running back has picked up the blitz by Hamilton once again. Detroit's running backs did an excellent job in pass pro. St. Brown is stepping to Humphrey, and then sliding underneath. And Marlon has been knocked off balance, or has knocked himself off balance by trying to hit a home run here, I think. Meaning he's trying to hit a home run on St. Brown. instead of just trying to hit a single and be able to play the run and the pass. Again, Detroit, John Morton had conditioned the Ravens to expect a run play out of that. Hindsight's definitely 2020, and you guys obviously can't know whether I'm telling the truth or not about what I thought live, but when they were lining up and I saw the formation, I thought, this is not a run play, this is a pass. In any case, I thought this game reminded me of the 49ers regular season game last year. Not the NFC Championship game in 2023. I'm talking about the regular season game in 2024, meaning in that game, the Lions offense was in control pretty much most of the night. I know they scored, a little bit more points than they did, 38 against the Ravens on Monday night. I just got the sense watching it that Detroit was in control, barring a turnover. During that second quarter drive, the 18-play possession, and then the third quarter touchdown to match the Ravens touchdown. Right, I'm talking about the one to St. Brown that I showed and talked about, kind of like a stutter go fade, whatever. And then the fourth quarter, culminating with the sweep pitch touchdown from St. Brown to Gibbs to make it 28-21. I just had that feeling that watching it, they were in control. I don't know how it felt for you as a Lions fan watching it. You're more than welcome to let me know in the comment section. At this point, hopefully you guys know the sheer amount of the content that I put out on the Ravens and Lions, and I'm telling you exactly what I thought, which was at halftime, I thought if the Ravens don't go out and get a 21-14 lead here, then they're absolutely in trouble. I've got a Ravens Discord and a Lions Discord, separate, of course, for obvious reasons. But in the Ravens Discord, I said, hey, we need a touchdown. If we don't get a touchdown, I think we're really in trouble here. In any case, I want to talk about Goff and Lamar for a second. I will have a Lamar film study video that comes out later today or late tonight, and it'll be more lengthy than this one on Goff. And that's my intention, is to do film study videos on both of those guys all season. Number one, I feel like it's making me a better analyst, trying to watch intentionally two different quarterbacks. But I see more similarities than a lot of people do. Yes, clearly they have different athletic abilities that were given to them and separate play styles that flow from it. I understand that, and that's absolutely 100% the truth. But I wanted to highlight some of the similarities. They've both had postseason situations that didn't turn out in their favor and have been highly criticized for it. High-profile games, losses in their career where, maybe they didn't perform as well in the playoffs. But from a global standpoint, they've both been a winner everywhere. Everywhere they've gone, they've won. In high school, obviously, college, and then the NFL. Neither one of them has a Super Bowl yet, right? I'm actually hoping that they both get an opportunity to this year. This is the third season in a row where my whole goal or hope is that the Ravens and Lions play each other in the Super Bowl, and we can do this once again early February. In any case, if you guys enjoyed this film study video, let me know in the comment section. I recognize that it's out late compared to the rest of the things that I put out. I think Thursday is probably going to be the day that I put out most of my quarterback film studies, and consistently that's going to consist of Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff stuff. My Wednesdays are very crazy, so being intentional and having a plan for each week is in the best case, or best interest, of myself and what I'd hopefully be able to produce for you guys. In any case, if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comment section, like I said. And then finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy some of the thoughts that I provided, and then also the film that I displayed to kind of prove it, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.